what we do when they first come in, like they come in for their nutrition consultation, all we do is give them a list. So we just, on a piece of paper, we write down a list of yes, you can eat, or no, you can't eat. And we just list out, all the things that we tell them they can't eat, and then we list out all the things that they should eat, and we tell them, why they shouldn't eat them. Because some of the things that I put over here, they've been told is healthier, and at some point they could possibly eat some of the things over here, moderately and be healthy. But for now, I just make it no and yes. And we actually put together a PDF that I used, and we're going to give this to you guys in a Word document so you can edit it, customize it, make it your own, and then give it to your clients if you want to follow this structure. But this is just like the don't eat side. We have like bread and cheese, pasta, milk, rice, yogurt, and then we tell them why they shouldn't eat those things. And then on this side it is the do eat side, and it's the veggies, lean meats, fruits, beans and legumes, nuts and seeds, and then their liquids, water, coffee, or tea. So if you guys want this in a Word document, just put the keyword in the keyword food list in the comment section below, and then we'll message it to you on Facebook. So the words food list in the comment section, we'll send this to you. But anyway, in the consultation, we go over the no, we go over yes, they should eat, and why, and then we tell them to start logging their meals. And we offer free follow-up consultations, for nutrition. So if for some reason, they're not getting the results they want, they can come in anytime for a 30-minute consultation, and we'll sit down and we'll go over their diet line by line. So once we give them that list of what they can eat, what they can't eat, then we have them start, logging their food. So they create a food journal. And spelled that wrong. There we go. And so we have them create a food journal, and they're logging everything they eat. The one rule is they have to log, or have to write down the food first before they eat it. Because what happens a lot of times with our clients is, they're tired, or they're stressed out about something, or they're upset about something, they just grab something and eat it, and then once they've eaten it, they're like, oh man, why'd I eat that? And then they wait till the end of the day and they go to write it down. They only write down the good things that they remembered that they eat. They forgot about the bad things, whether it was a piece of candy or whatever it was. So the rule is, before you eat it, you have to write it down. So that way it's a conscious decision. It's not subconscious. So that way when you're going over their food journal line by line and it's something really bad on there, you're like, you wrote that down first and then ate it? It makes it like twice as bad because they consciously have to think about it, make a conscious decision about eating it. That alone will help them stay on track, better. As far as the free nutrition consultations, the only thing they have to do, they have to have 4 to 5 days, of food, logged. That way we can we have more than one day to go over line by line, and we try to tell them to have one of these days on the weekend, because people eat differently on the weekends than they do during the week. During the week, they're more routine. They eat the same thing for breakfast. They eat at lunch, at work the same, and then they have their dinners. Wherever the weekend, their diet's usually a little bit different. So we try to have 1 or 2 of those days being over the weekend, and then we just go over the diet line by line, and we pick out which things they're not getting enough of, or what. First thing we do is cross off everything they shouldn't be eating, everything that's on the do not eat side. And then we reinforce why they shouldn't eat these and why why those foods are hurting them from getting the results that they want. Then we go through and show them the things they're missing, and we go through it line by line. A lot of things that they're missing. Most of the time, they're not getting enough protein, not getting enough green leafy vegetables, and they're not getting enough healthy fats. So that's the opportunity for us to go ahead and sell them a protein shake, a greens drink, and some fish oil, krill oil. So that free nutrition consultation, 30 minutes, if you sell them all 3 of those, your profit on that's going to be about $30, and that's going to be every single month. So you just made $30 for that 30-minute free consultation. By doing it free for them, it's a huge value add, because no other gym or no other program is offering free nutrition consultations. And then you go over line by line, you're telling them what's missing, and then you say you have to, you need more protein in your diet. You're not going to recover as fast. You need more greens, in your diet. Make sure you're getting all your vitamins and everything that you need, and you need more healthy fat, to eliminate inflammation and help you recover faster from your workouts. So you sell them all three of those, you get $30 the first month for that 30-minute consultation. The second month, because it's on auto ship, you're getting $60 for that same 30-minute consultation. The third month, $90. So you end up making a lot of money from offering free nutrition consultations, and it really isn't that difficult for the average person that doesn't have any other issues going on. Now, if they're following this stuff and they're still not getting results, then I always do want to have, if I can't help them, like they're following the basic structure that we have laid out here, and that's not getting them the results they want for whatever reason. Maybe they're getting headaches, or they feel nauseous, or they're just not seeing results, and they say they're following everything. At that point, I would have somebody that I would refer them out to, and I would just introduce them to a naturopath or a nutritionist or somebody along those lines, so they can get some additional testing done or whatever. A lot of times when they do, when you suggest that, they'll be like, well, let me just try this another week and just try to be perfect with it and see if I get results. And then they actually do get results because they followed exactly, and they don't have to go to those other, get that other testing done or take that other route, which is going to end up costing them more money. So it usually comes down to them just not following the rules or following what you told them to do. So this is basically our entire nutrition program for our basic clients. We have higher level of service stuff like my Game Changer program, where we will do more of a if it fits your macros, or like carb cycling type stuff where they're weighing their foods. But we don't do that for the average client. We only do that for the client that wants to take it to the next level. This type of diet is by eating whole foods, eliminating sugar, eliminating processed foods. They're going to get the results that they want, and it's very simple. It's just a list of what they should eat, a list of what they shouldn't eat, and then you just holding them accountable to that. And we have our clients weighing in every single week, doing their body fat every single week, taking the pictures every single week. So we know, our big promise when they come in is that you'll never have more than a bad week, because we're going to hold you accountable every single week. And if they're not on pace to reach their goal for that week, we get them in for the nutrition consultation, take them through all those steps, sell them the supplements, and get them back on track. So I would follow something more like this before I hired a nutritionist. But you could team up with a nutritionist to do a workshop just to go over general, eating principles that are healthy or whatnot. But I wouldn't actually hire one to come in and take that part over from your business. Again, if you want the food list that we created, just put the word food list in the comment section below. So our second question is, this person, they say they need some ideas on what to do with their clients to create an even more awesome sense of community. So there's a lot of things that you should be doing to creating that sense of community. Within the workouts itself, by having people high-five each other, partnering people up with each other, people that have been there for a while, and a new person comes in, have them in that person's group so they're already meeting people, interacting. Just little things like that are going to go a long way. The other thing is, the first thing you want to do is always introduce your new members, not only at the class or at the session, but in your Facebook group. So obviously during the session, but also your Facebook group. And you should have a private Facebook group for your members only. You want to get them engaging in there and helping each other out. And the way you do that is by giving lots of recognition in there, getting people to share their stories in there, so asking engaging questions. But when you have a new member come in, when you introduce them, first when you talk to them during the consultation, let them know, hey, I'm going to introduce you inside of our private members Facebook group. We're like one big happy family in there. Everybody is in there to help each other. Everybody shares their stories, what they're struggling with. So when I introduce you, I'm going to ask you what your number one thing that you're struggling with, or what's kept you from reaching your results in the past. If you could do me a favor and just be open and share that, you'll see how supportive everybody else is when they come back and help you. There's not, I guarantee you, whatever you're going through, there's somebody in our program that's already been through there and solved that issue. What's a huge issue to you is easily solved by somebody else that's already been there and done that. So do me a favor and just share that. So I kind of prep them first, and then I also prep what I call my charter members or my founding members who have been there for a while, have gotten really great results, are really active, and I tell them, hey, whenever I introduce a new member and they share their story and they say what they're struggling with, make sure that you respond as soon as you possibly can, just to show them that we are one big happy family. So I get everybody that I'm close with and that I can trust on board, and then I introduce them to our private Facebook group as a new member, and then ask them what their biggest struggle is. They share it, and I'm hoping within 30 minutes somebody answers them and can relate to what their struggle is and helps them. the worst thing that can happen is they share their story and then it's crickets for like 2 or 3 hours. As the clock's ticking, that person's getting, feeling worse and worse about themselves. Like, I can't put myself out there. Nobody cares, and they're gonna, it's not gonna help you or help them or help build that sense of community. But if those charter members come through, or if other members see it and come through, and there's a big dialogue about how all the other people are struggling with the same thing or have struggled with the same thing in the past, it's going to build a lot of connection, with your members and a lot of engagement. And then when they see them in, the next session, they're going to want to give them a big hug and tell them how, that they felt the same way when they started, and this is what they did, and they're going to have friends like right off the bat. And that little thing alone is going to build a big, sense of community. So introducing new members, not only during the session, but also in the Facebook group, is huge. Getting them to engage and help each other, share stories with each other, engage, be vulnerable, all that good stuff. The same way that you build connection with your members, same way you build connection with your audience on Facebook, your email list, by sharing your story, you want to get them sharing their story with each other as well. The other thing is always giving, recognition. When people do a good job, they refer somebody. When they reach a milestone, just always doing that, because that's going to have people coming up and congratulating them, getting them to talk to each other, that kind of thing. These are just real little things that go a long way. We call them like force multipliers. One of these things by themselves won't do much to build a big sense of community, but all of them together is going to build a really tight, family-like community. So always giving recognition as much as you can, whether it's birthdays, so you have like a husband and wife team in there, whether it's anniversaries, or if they had a baby, just like you would with your family, treat them the same way, and congratulate them, give them recognition, thank them, all that good stuff. The other thing is getting outside activities. So what we did for a while, because when I was running my boot camp out of a gymnastics center, I didn't really have a facility where people could hang out and talk, or where we could do things out of, so I did everything out of Starbucks. Well, what ended up happening is that people would end up going to Starbucks like right after the boot camp, and they would just sit there, get their coffee after the workout, or they get like oatmeal with protein or whatever, and they'd sit there and talk for hours at Starbucks. And then once I got my own studio, that ended up happening at the studio, and then outside in the parking lot, they'd be out there for hours just talking with each other, supporting each other, and that's the kind of things you want. That's how you know when you're really starting to build a sense of community. So having like outside activities, like I never planned on having that meetup at Starbucks, but you could plan it, and you could say, hey, after the 9 a.m. workout, we always meet up at Starbucks or whatever, and just chat for a bit or whatever. So you could do something like that. So you could do like coffee meetup, we're just talking about whatever. We did a lot of trail runs. We had a nice trail close to our gym. And on Saturday mornings, we had like a running group that was totally free. People could bring their friends. We'd get new members that way, but it also gives them a chance, because when you're running and you find somebody that's at your pace that you can chat with and talk as you're running, and you really get to know that person, it's a lot different than when they're in the boot camp or in your program when they're working out. They don't really have a chance to talk during the workout because it's so intense. When you go into something like this, while we're getting warmed up, waiting for people to show up, people are engaging in conversation and building connections that way. We'd always do a lot of 5Ks. That's why we had the running group, was to train for the 5Ks or Tough Mudders, whatever. We'd always do put teams together for Tough Mudders. I think the one we had like 17 people or something like that. It was pretty fun. It was tough. I ended up running twice the distance because I would run ahead with the fast group. We get to the next obstacle, and we all decided to wait for everybody at each obstacle. So we'd get there, and then I'd run back to find all the slow people, and then run with them back to the obstacle again. So it's pretty much running double. But it was a lot of fun, and helping people through all the obstacles really builds, a lot of teamwork, a lot of connections that way. So just doing things that can show off the fitness that they're working so hard for, and then you give them a different goal besides just fat loss of running a 5K or a half marathon, a Tough Mudder, obstacle, any kind of obstacle course racing, anything like that. You can do like, instead of running club, you could have like a hiking club where you do different hikes, around your area. Just meet up to do certain trails, anything that's going to get them doing active, healthy, fun stuff together. And it doesn't always have to be something that's active or healthy, because when they work so hard and they're perfect with their diet and everything is great, it's okay to let loose every once in a while. So we would do happy hours every once in a while. We wouldn't even do a monthly, maybe quarterly, but we didn't really time them. Just whenever it felt right, it felt like it was time for another happy hour, we would do a happy hour meetup. And you can even let people know like what's the least damaging drink to drink when they go. It could be like vodka and soda water or whatever, something like that. So that way they don't really get off track too much. But whether they're drinking with you, they're probably drinking, at least weekly on their own anyway. So it's not as bad as it might seem. They're going to go out and do a happy hour. But this is a good chance because you get to see people outside of like workout gear, dressed up, makeup on. I remember one time I walked into Starbucks and I was just walked by a whole table of women, and they're all like, "Hey Jeff," and I turn around, I'm like, just like, "Hey," and I still don't recognize any of them. They all look totally different because when I saw them in boot camp with yoga pants, t-shirt, all sweaty, no makeup, and then I saw them all dressed up ready for work or whatever, I had no idea who they were. So it's a good chance for you to really get outside of exercise and just see them in a different environment. So happy hours can go a long way, and it's also a time where you can really get into deeper conversations and get to know them. The other thing is we do a lot of charity boot camps. I'm not even sure if this is out of the screen or not. Is that out of the screen? We're good? So you can do, all right, cool, then I'll finish writing it.
I think. Let me see.
So you can do charity boot camps, and you're probably wondering like how doing a charity boot camp can build a better community. What we would do is we would ask people in our boot camp program if they're involved in any charities, or if there's any that that they feel close to. Maybe their mom died of cancer and they want to do something to raise money for cancer awareness or research or whatever. And you can back some of your members with the charities that they're involved in and make them part of it. And if it's near and dear to their heart, they're going to go out of their way to refer people, to get the word out, and it's going to mean a lot to them that you did that for them. So we would run pretty much a monthly charity boot camp. It can just be like on a Saturday, and it could be like a $10 drop-in, or around Thanksgiving if you do it for like a soup kitchen or something. You can do canned goods and stuff like that. But charity boot camps, and just ask your members what charities they help out with or near and dear to their heart that they're associated with, and run them in their honor pretty much, and that's going to help build that community as well. So these are the main 4 things. Some of them don't seem very significant, but putting them all together is how you're really going to build that tight-knit community, and it's going to be more like your fitness family than it is like your gym members. So just follow these, and you will have one awesome community that refers their friends, family, coworkers, and they stay with you like a long, long time. Like I had some members who were even with me from when I did one-on-one training, and they followed me all the way through to my boot camp. So from 2001 all the way to, they're still members. I sold my boot camp last year. They're still members there. So 15 years. They ended up staying because you just treat them like family. So our last question is, this person says, "I'm just a one-person show right now. How do you know when it's time to hire?" So when it's time to hire when you're on the verge of getting burnt out. That's the obvious answer, right? The not so obvious answer is, who do you hire and what should they do? So it really depends on you and what you enjoy. So every task that you do to run your business is going to fall into a category. So you're either going to enjoy it or not enjoy it. You're either going to be good at it or not good at it. And it's either going to energize you or drain you. So if you're good at training and you enjoy it and it energizes you, why would you hire a trainer to take over the training so you could focus on the marketing and the sales and running the business and managing the business that just drains you, right? You shouldn't hire the trainer. You should hire an admin person or a salesperson or a sales manager, or gym manager. I would break it down into those 2 categories at first. You either have, the execution of the service or fulfillment of the service, which is delivering the workouts, delivering the nutrition consultations, helping people get results, interacting with the members. Ask yourself, do you enjoy that part of it? Are you good at it? And does it energize you? If you answer all 3 to those, a yes, then your first hire is going to be on the business side of things. And I would just hire, an admin to start helping with like the follow-up, setting appointments, stuff like that. So, we all started off as trainers, so for most of us, most people are going to enjoy the training aspect of it, not the business. I ended up enjoying the business aspect a lot, and that's why I started veering more towards that. And once you start getting to the point where you're generating so many leads that you can't follow up with them on your own, and a lot of people are falling through the cracks, you're wasting money because you can't follow up with them, you can't get them in within a week, that's when you want to hire somebody to help out, with that. So the first person I hired was just an admin assistant. And her main job was just to follow up with leads and also to set appointments. Everybody hates following up with leads. I don't care who you are, you don't enjoy it. It doesn't energize you, and even if you're good at it, you still don't enjoy it, and it doesn't energize you, it drains you. So that's the main thing, is having them follow up with leads, answering their questions, getting them in the door for their first workout, and then setting up that initial appointment. When you have somebody else set up your initial appointments for you, your conversion rates are going to go up automatically. And here's why. When you're calling and setting up your own appointment, the person that's on the other end of the phone, if they're talking to the person they're coming in to see, they know that you don't have anybody else working for you. They know you don't have anybody. You're doing all the little things in your business. You can't be that important. They're not going to take you as seriously. So you're going to have a little bit more selling to do if you're setting your own appointments. In the beginning, it's fine. You have to. It's no big deal. But as soon as you have somebody else setting your appointments for you and they have to go through somebody else, they're already coming in with a lot more respect for you. They're looking at you with a lot more authority, and your conversion rates, no matter if you're a good salesman or not, are going to go up. So the first thing is hiring somebody. The first person I hired was actually a member who came to me all upset. She was crying. She had lost her job. She was actually moving back in with her parents and couldn't afford boot camp anymore. She had been a member for like 8 months, loved it. It was like her family. She didn't want to have to quit, but she just couldn't afford it. And I was like, well, you have all this free time now. Do you mind like hitting the phones and following up with leads and setting appointments? These are the only 2 things I had her do. It was like 2 hours a day, maybe 3 at the most. And she was like ecstatic, and she did it. Worked out great. We did that for like 6 months, almost a year, until she had another job. And then I hired a full-time admin and assistant who did all the follow up with leads, setting the appointments, and then following up, with cancel or with declined credit cards, following up with like paid in fulls to see if they want to continue for the next year, stuff like that. Because like all our other memberships are month to month, they just keep going until they tell us to quit, and our 12 months rolls into a month to month at the 12-month rate after 12 months is up, so they just keep going until they tell us they want to quit. So really only our paid in fulls they'd have to follow up with. And then I ended up switching that to where after the paid in full was up, it would just roll into a monthly membership as well, unless they told us they didn't want to come in. Because if you're charging somebody like $2,000 and then like 12 months later they get hit with $2,000 without a heads up, it's going to be like a big shock to them. So we'd roll it into a month to month at a 12-month rate, which for us was $197. They'd see that come through. Then they came back to us like, hey, I saw that my membership went through for $197. I wanted to do the paid in full again. Then we would just apply that $197 to what they paid for paid in full and get them back in for a full year. They would come tell us. But that way we wouldn't have to keep looking and seeing whose paid in fulls are expiring this month, and then pull them out, call them up, let them know, hey, your year's coming up. Did you want to continue for however much money? And when we did that, a lot of times they would either be like, yeah, sure, go ahead and charge my card, or they'd be like, no, I'm actually not going to continue, because they got such a great deal for paying in full. A lot of times they don't want to go back to paying the full price, even if it is monthly, and they might not be in a position to be able to pay the full amount again. So a lot of times they would just quit. But by just charging them the $197 and them seeing that come through, and then they would either stay on at that because it had already been charged, so why not? Or they would call us up and just say, hey, can I do the same deal again? We'd say yes, of course, and do that. So these are the main things I had them take off my plate, at first, and then we'd add in like our onboarding process. So they would be taken care of, from the time they come in for their first workout all the way through to their full member. So all I had to focus on, for me, so this was their job, and then all I had to focus on was lead generation and sales, besides the training. And then hired a trainer, then ended up becoming the head trainer, and then kept hiring another trainer after that. So I worked myself out of the training part, and I really got into the lead generation and sales. I gave up the sales after my daughter was born, and the last thing I gave up was the lead generation. Once we created, our agency, Fitness Marketer, they just took over exactly what I was doing anyway. Now we're doing that same thing for hundreds of other gyms, around the world, really. So the lead generation and sales, so lead generation / marketing was the last thing that I gave up. I gave up sales, second to last. These are all the things that you want to give up, sooner than later, because you don't have to do these things. So hopefully that helps. That way you don't have to be a one-person show anymore. You can hire, you can even barter for your first part-time assistant, and then just getting them taking off, the the tedious tasks that you don't have to do, and that's going to free up your time for more lead generation, more sales, more time to give to your current clients and helping them get the best results that they can. So that's it for this week. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll talk to you guys soon.